Let's talk about suicide. So, what is suicide? Suicide is when someone takes their life. And sometimes these people they don't take their life because they want to take their life. Rather, they take their life because they want to run away from psychological and physical pain. And sometimes they feel hopeless and helpless to the extent they want to end their lives. According to the World Health Organization, 700,000 people commit suicide globally. And in our country, Kenya, 7,000 people commit suicide nationally. And in every 40 seconds, one person is committing suicide annually. And from 2020 to 2022, in a certain county, 132 people reported cases of suicide in a certain county. Guys, kuna shida. One of the reasons that people commit suicide is because they feel like they are being a burden to themselves and to the people around them. For instance, like in a family setup, when someone is a parent and they feel obliged to take care of their parents, and with the economic crisis, they expected to pay their school fees, feed them, and house them. But in some cases, these parents they don't have enough finance to facilitate for these things, so they feel like they are inconveniencing their kids because they cannot provide these things. And also, in friends, when you have friends and these friends who engage in them in all the activities like going for vacation, and we feel like we're inconveniencing them, like when you cannot go to with them in vacation, and also when they have moved to another level in maybe in job, even maybe your friends are married and now you feel like you don't want to engage with them because you're not married, and also they have kids and you also don't have kids. And also when you see like the social standards, when you see that your friends have bought cars, they have built houses, and you are not yet there, and they keep on telling you to go to their houses, but you're feeling uncomfortable because you feel like you're not in their range. You feel like you're not in their range anymore, even if you've been friends since primary school, high school, even in university, even in school setups. Like when you have your friend is performing very well, and you're not performing at their level. And like this case when a student committed suicide after receiving the KCP results, and it was so sad because this kid felt like they have not yet achieved what the society or what everyone expected them to achieve, but maybe they had given their all. And these are just examples of how someone feel like they're being an inconvenient to themselves and to the people around them, to the extent they want to isolate themselves from their families, their friends, even the society. We also face social stigma. Like for instance, when someone commits suicide, the people who are left behind, they feel like this person was so selfish. They were just thinking about themselves. There is so much to give to this life. They are too young. They left kids. They failed families. Why did they go too soon? We judge the people who have already committed suicide. Also the people who are left behind, like the families. Someone feels scared to speak that my fiancé committed suicide, my brother committed suicide, my sister committed suicide, my parent committed suicide, my neighbor committed suicide. They don't know how to go about it. Sometimes they even come up with things that maybe they had cancer, they had diabetes. They don't want to say that they are people who they thought highly of, they were engaging with, they left too soon, they died because of suicide. They don't want to talk about it. They're also scared of how society is going to judge them. And sometimes people don't want to engage with these people. They say like there is this taboo, people don't want to talk about suicide, and they don't want to engage with the people who have families and friends who have committed suicide. They feel like it is a curse and all those things. Also, people, they are scared of talking about how they feel. Like when someone is going through depression or they're stressed up, they're going through anxiety and they want to share with someone, and they say like, hey, today I had a bad day, I'm so stressed up, I don't know what to do. Instead of listening and trying to seek help and seeing how we can help them, we tell them, you're not the only one, we are many. And we tell them, there's so much to give in life, don't give up. But when someone gets hurt, like when someone, they tell, eh, my hand has been aching for, yeah, my hand has been aching, you'll be like, okay, for how long? Have you consulted a doctor? Have you taken painkillers? Have you tried some warm water? Have you tried to use some ice cube? You hear whether your hand will be okay. So when someone is suffering from physical diseases, we tend to give more attention than when someone is suffering from psychological and mental illnesses and disorders. To the extent we create that discrimination and barrier where someone, they can speak exactly what's happening to them. And according to the World Health Organization, it states that speaking about suicide prevents the rate of suicide increase. But when you don't talk about suicide and you don't give people a platform where they can speak about how they feel and the way they are fighting with their mental health illnesses and disorders, we are increasing the rate of suicide. These are some of the risk factors to suicide. Do you know that in every 4 people, 1 person is suffering from mental health illnesses and mental health disorders? Mental health illnesses and mental health disorders like bipolar and stress, anxiety, depression, these are some of the risky factors of someone to commit suicide. And also someone who has attempted suicide. Sometimes someone go through this therapy and they feel like they are okay, but they later experience this urge of committing suicide again. So if someone has gone through therapy or they attempted suicide once, try to check on them. And also there are things that increase the urge of committing suicide, or the tools that someone can use to hurt themselves, like the gun, firearms, poison, and drying what? Ropes, because there are ways in which someone commits suicide is through using guns, using pesticides, and hugging themselves. So these things you can keep them far away or engage with them safely, so that these people who have tried to commit suicide before, or someone who is thinking about committing suicide, they cannot come across these things, so they are not going to be triggered to commit suicide. Also, a family which has a history of someone committing suicide. Maybe you hear your grandmother committed suicide, your parent committed suicide, your uncle committed suicide, your cousin committed suicide, your auntie committed suicide, and most of the history of someone committing suicide is triggered by mental health illnesses, because some of the mental health illnesses like bipolar, they are genetical. So someone can inherit the disease. So if someone, they have a history of these mental health illnesses, or someone who has committed suicide, check on them. Another risk factors is when someone has gone through Roswell abuse. Like when someone have lost their parent and they feel like they cannot do without them. If someone they have lost their friends, their families, their colleagues, but they feel like it's too much for them. And also when someone has lost a job, unemployment, and they feel like there is so much stigma, or maybe they depended on that job to feed themselves, to feed their families, to pay their kids' school fees. So when they lose the job, they feel they don't know how they are going to start again, or they don't know how to go about it anymore, because that's what they depended on. And abuse, like domestic violence, like some kids they go through domestic violence. Even here cases where kids they don't know it from their homes because it's too much for them. Even in marriages where someone go through abuse and they feel like they cannot cope with this life anymore. Even when someone they have been sexually assaulted by maybe their family members, their friends, or even anyone, and they feel like this is too much for them. So these are some of the losses and abuses that they make someone feel like committing suicide. So these are just bad risk factors. Also, when someone is suffering from chronic pain, it can even be someone is suffering from cancer, diabetes, HIV, some of these things, and they feel like they cannot go on anymore. And maybe the stigma is too much. They feel like they are being inconvenienced with their family. They have seen their family selling their property, selling their property, their land, their working extra too much, devoting their lives to come and serve them, and they feel like they don't want to go through this anymore. Also, excess use of drugs like alcohol, like when someone used to take maybe one bottle, though they start taking like 10, and they don't know what is happening. And not just alcohol, even other drug. And you should check on them, like what is happening, why are they engaging themselves to these drugs to this extent. Also, other risk factors they're like loneliness, strained relationship, and exposure to other suicide behavior attempt of other people. And also difficulties like lack of finance. These are some of the risk factors of someone attempting suicide. Go workplaces, and to everyone who is working, the employers and the employees, make working place a conducive environment for everyone. Like sometimes someone is working and they feel like they're not giving enough. Some people even work for extra hours, but it still feels like it's not enough. Some bosses they're so abusive to the extent someone they feel like they cannot work in that kind of environment anymore. They work in a toxic environment, and sometimes they still want to come to work, not because they want to work because the environment is not conducive, but because maybe they are the people who are they have families to take care of, they have wives, they have kids, they have siblings, they have parents who they need to take care of, but the work environment is toxic. It's not convenient for them. They're being treated unfairly, they're being abused, but they're still in that workplace because they have to. So let's make the workplace convenient for the employees and also for the employers, so that you can have a productive work. So, who is at risk of committing suicide? Apparently, everybody is at risk of committing suicide. Doesn't matter your gender, your nationality, your age, both young and old, even your status quo. the rich and the poor. Everyone is at risk of committing suicide. And there are other people who are at a high risk of committing suicide. They are aged between 18 to 29 years, according to the statistics. These are the people who have high chances of committing suicide. But generally, everybody is at risk of committing suicide. I will just state some of the warning signs and I will divide them into three. The first warning sign is talking. What someone is talking. When someone talks about attempting suicide or hurting themselves, have a conversation with that person. Ask them, why do you want to commit suicide? Why are you hurting them? Why do you want to hurt yourself? If you can be able to help them, maybe seek psychological help, maybe a therapist or a psychiatric where they can seek help. So when someone talks about hurting themselves or committing suicide, check out. And when someone feel trapped, like for instance, even in friendship, you're in this friendship, you have trusted this person for your whole life, then they betrays you and you feel trapped. You don't want to get out, but getting in, it's too much for you. Even in marriages, you've been married and you don't want to get out of that marriage because you're scared of how the community or the society will judge you, so you feel trapped. When someone tells you they feel trapped, they don't know how do you end the belly, when the human, they just there. And something else, when someone talks like they see that they have no reason to live, like they don't see anything in this world that they want to live for. When someone tells you they don't have anything to live for, be on the lookout. Check why. Why is it there anything that they can live for? Also, having unbearable pain. For instance, when someone is suffering from a disease and they feel like this pain is too much for them, and they tell you they cannot fight this pain is too much. Maybe they're suffering from cancer and they feel the pain is too much, it's unbearable, they cannot go through it anymore. Also, when someone loses someone they truly love, like maybe children, they were too attached to their parents and then they lose their parents and they feel like the pain is too bearable, they cannot do it anymore, they cannot stay without their parent. The pain is too much. The pain of losing their parents, it's so unbearable, it's too much. So when someone they're going through and they tell you they're going through unbearable pain, please look out. If you can be able to help them, seek help them out. Seek help from a therapist or a counselor or a psychiatric, also from religious leaders or even your relative or friends, and tell them what is happening and how you should cope up with it. Also, when someone tells you they are being abandoned, maybe ask them, why do you feel like you're being abandoned? What is it? Engage, listen, don't judge. Listen and know why they are saying some of these statements, so that you can be able to help. Even supporting them, it's the best help. Even listening, when someone is talking and you listen, that's one way of helping them out. Even if you don't have another media, listening is the best way without judging them. The next thing is mood. Like when someone they have a low mood, maybe they used to be excited, they used to be engaged. When you tell them you want to, let's go and visit a place, they just be like, yeah, let's go. But now you tell them, let's go, they don't want to go, they're isolating themselves. Also, anxiety. Maybe this person used to stand in front of class and give presentation and they don't want to stand anymore. Maybe this person, they used to when you are presenting a project at workplace, they used to be the ones who want to present, but they don't want to present anymore. Also, irritability, someone getting aggressive very fast. Maybe you used to joke about something. When you say that joke, it's not funny anymore. They don't want even to want to laugh about that joke. They just feel irritated, even loss of interest. Maybe this person used to love hiking, like hiking was their thing, used to go and hike, but now they don't want to hike anymore. Maybe they used to love listening to music, to dance, they don't want to do that anymore. They lose interest completely. Even even the other factor is behavior. And behavior, one of the things that in behavior is like drug abuse, like increasing intake of this alcohol and drug abuse. Maybe someone used to take just a little amount of drug abuse, then they suddenly want to take like huge amount of alcohol. They used maybe to drink once per week. Now they go to drink Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They don't want to go even to go to work anymore. They just want to drink. So when someone starts changing in this kind of behavior, like increasing the amount of alcohol and drug abuse, that's a bad sign. Something else is giving away professions. Like someone used to be a teacher, they used to love their work. Someone used to be a doctor, a nurse. Someone used to work in a certain company, but they don't want to work in that company. They don't want to go to work anymore. Maybe they used to be so engaging. They used to say like they love this work. They used to wake up in the morning, they go to work. They used to dedicate all their life to this profession, but they don't want to work in this profession anymore. So that's another sign, change of behavior. So when someone they don't want to go to their workplace anymore, check out why don't they want to go, like what's happening. Is it the workplace environment not conducive anymore, or what is happening? Okay, something else is scoring on visiting people. Like this person used to love coming to your home or going to visit their parents, or even going to visit their kids or their siblings. They don't want to engage anymore. They want to isolate themselves. They don't want even to go to functions. Maybe these people, they used to love festivals, weddings. Like when there's at a wedding, they just want to be there. They want to dance, they want to engage with people, they want to visit people, but they don't want to visit any people anymore. They want to isolate themselves. This is a behavior change that you should be on the lookout. Okay, something else is acting reckless. Like these people, they don't care anymore about anything. They drink recklessly, they drive recklessly, they don't want to. They just reckless, they don't care. They just, even the things they used to care about, they don't care about them anymore. So when someone, they just start being, they don't care about even the things that they used to value, that is a behavior change and a very big red flag. So check out on this behavior change, mood and talk. These are some of the warning signs of suicide. Suicide prevention. One thing is talking about suicide, removing the taboo of talking suicide. Like suicide is a curse now. Talking about suicide, and which creates awareness and make it easier for someone who is suffering from suicide to even come up and talk about it. Something else is listening, and sometimes we listen to answer, to respond, and not to understand. Like when someone comes to, like when someone tells you they are pregnant. Okay, sometimes even before they finish the statement, you can be like, are you pregnant? You're too young, you're not married. And sometimes they're like, oh, finally I'm going to be an auntie, I'm going to be an uncle, I'm going to be a shisha. Like we don't give people time to finish what they're saying. So we just go on, we just finish the statement or even judge them instead of listening. So let's have good listening skills. Like when someone comes to approach you, listen what they are saying before you even comment or judge them. Then the next thing is seeking help from satisfied professionals like the psychiatric and therapist. Like when you are feeling you're not okay, seek help. You can even start with your someone who you trust. Maybe they can help you to go and seek help to the psychologist and the therapist. And again, when someone comes to seek help, don't judge them. Listen and help them where you could. And something else, keeping away tools that they can trigger the attempt of committing suicide. As I told you earlier, some of the ways that people commit suicide is through shooting themselves, hanging themselves, and also taking taking things like insecticide. So keep these tools away or use them appropriately so that someone cannot be attempted to commit suicide. So these are some of the prevention measures. And why do we talk about suicide? Why do we advocate for suicide? It's because suicide happens every day, every second, every minute, every hour, every week, every month, annually. So if we don't advocate and if we don't talk about it, we are increasing the chances of people committing suicide. So we don't just talk about it every day, every month, because it's a good thing. It's a hard topic to talk about it. But when you talk about it, to make it easier for someone to seek help and to overcome the stigma of suicide in our community